Hello everyone, so welcome to our podcast, Coffee Time with the ASK Vietnam, and I'm Chang Dao. The topic that we will talk today is about the state of Rheinland-Pfalz, an international, successful and future-oriented business location in Germany, and why its innovation could taste so good. It's also famous for beautiful landscape, for its vinicultures. It is home of many well-known people. So all about Rheinland-Pfalz and what are the business opportunities, potential for Vietnamese and international businesses. You will hear in this episode. We have Miss Amy Phan, representative of Rheinland-Pfalz in Vietnam, as our guest to talk about the state and present all its opportunities to our audiences today. And Marco Valde, Chief Representative of the ASK Vietnam, will host our episode. So welcome to our podcast.
And I think we should go straight to our first question, Amy. So Germany is a country with a long tradition of wine production. And of course, outstanding wines from Rheinland-Pfalz state, contributing around 90% of the whole German wine export. There are famous grape varieties from Germany, not only the premium Riesling with their full body and fruity flavors, but also other grapes like Dornfelder, Müller-Thurgau, very special German grapes, Spätburgunder, Grauburgunder, Weißburgunder. They belong to the top wines due to the skills, their ambitious wine growers. So what do you think of the German wine in comparison with those that come from our neighbor countries like Italy or France, and also with all the other beverages in the world? So how is the situation?
Okay, thank you, Marco. Thank you, AHK, for having me here today. So, to your question, first of all, German vineyards are among the northernmost vineyards in the world. German wines are primarily produced in the west of Germany, along the River Rhine and its tributaries, with the oldest plantations going back to the Roman era. Approximately 60% of German wine production is from the state of Rheinland-Pfalz, where 6 of the 13 regions of quality wine are situated. So Germany has about 103,000 hectares of vineyards, which is around 1/10 of the vineyard surface in Spain, France, or Italy, so meaning it is very small. But the total wine production is usually around 10 million hectoliters annually, corresponding to 1.3 billion bottles, which places Germany as the 8th largest wine producing country in the world. And mostly of that white wine accounts for almost 2/3 of the total production. So Germany's reputation is primarily based on wines made from the Riesling grape variety, as Marco already mentioned, which range from very crisp to and dry to well-balanced, sweet, and of enormous aromatic concentration. The wines can vary from light, fresh, and fruity to elegant, sweet, and rich, some of which have proven to be the longest aging white wines in the world. So while being a white wine country, red wine production surged in the 1990s and early 2000s, fueled by domestic demand, and the proportion of the German vineyards devoted to the cultivation of dark-skinned grape varieties has now stabilized at slightly more than 1/3 of the total surface. Red wine has always been a little bit more hard to produce in the German climate, and in the past was usually light colored, so closer to rose, as like a rosé or the red wines of Alsace in France. However, recently there has been greatly increased demand in darker and richer red wines, and it's been produced from grapes such as Dornfelder and Spätburgunder, the German name for Pinot Noir. Perhaps the most distinctive characteristic of German wines is the high level of acidity. in them, caused both by the lesser ripeness in a northerly climate and by the selection of grapes such as Riesling, which retain acidity even at high ripeness levels. Lately, there has been a great deal of interest in what is considered a newer, drier style of German wine. But unlike those of Alsace, which use some of the same grape varieties. However, because of the different microclimates and soil conditions throughout Germany, the wines are all very individualistic in both style and taste. Most of the grown regions are situated along rivers and their tributaries. The most important rivers are the Ahr, Mosel, Nahe, Rhein, Main, and Neckar. They have the same effect as other bodies of water in other areas, mostly moderating the temperature.
Okay, many thanks, and maybe we can immediately continue with our second question. Let's talk about a bit more the Vietnamese market. We know that well established are wines from other countries already. It's very popular to drink wine from Chile or from Italy or from France. But nevertheless, the Vietnamese market has grown exponentially and fastest among the Asian countries. The consumption of wine grew by 10 till 15% year on year, and there's a wide range of wines from different countries. So Western expatriates and tourists are the biggest consumers. But also domestic drinking habits have also been changing in the line with higher consumer incomes and greater exposure to Western cultures. So in order to meet the demand, the Vietnamese wine market has exploded with hotels, restaurants, retailers now offering a wide variety of wines and price from around the world. So what do you think about the potentials of Vietnamese market for wine exporters? Especially and including those from Rheinland-Pfalz?
Okay, so as you already mentioned, Marco, Vietnamese consumers are shifting towards consumption of beverages with higher value, creating opportunities for penetration to upper class beverage segments. Though both local and foreign players have attempted to act in response to this shift, overseas companies are currently at edge due to the preference for international brands of Vietnamese consumers. So despite its difficulties like high import taxes for European, or in this case German products into Vietnam, about 60% custom duties on cost, insurance, freight, 25% excise duties, or 10% value added tax, Vietnam offers an exciting opportunity for those involved in the wine industry. There is significant room for growth and a grown interest amongst the public towards wine. The consumption of alcohol is a daily event for many Vietnamese now, and with the nation's growing consumer class, the number of consumers available over the coming years should be significant. And also, with the effective of the EVFTA this year, we are very hopeful to have an easier entry with lower costs for the consumer in the future.
Okay, I see. So this is really promising. And how about the market entry strategies to this market? What are the activities that you have been implementing to introduce the top wine growing enterprises from the state of Rheinland-Pfalz with their outstanding, well-recognized wines together to the Vietnamese business partner and consumers?
So with beginning of 2019, we already started to be more active on the market, starting with the participation of at one of the biggest exhibitions for the tourism and food and beverage industry, the Food and Hotel Fair in Ho Chi Minh City, which brought us closer to some big businesses of the Vietnamese market. Besides of that, with our business partners, like importers of German wines in Vietnam, we are building up the awareness of German wines through several wine tasting events and wine seminars throughout Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi. Through those activities, we achieved not only to reach new business partners, as in new importers and distributors, but also direct buyers, and could convert new wine lovers.
Okay, interesting. So let's also tell us about more other aspects of Rheinland-Pfalz, such as culture, tourism, the people there. What makes the state so special and attractive to the travelers? What to discover in there? Rheinland-Pfalz is not only home to top chemical and pharmaceutical companies such as BASF in Ludwigshafen or Boehringer Ingelheim. So the state has also its famous sons doing actively in different sectors from science to entertainment. So I learned that, for example, Bruce Willis was born in Rheinland-Pfalz as well, really surprisingly for me. Can you a bit elaborate on it?
So indeed, Bruce Willis had German roots, and that was actually quite a nice detail to know. Rheinland-Pfalz lies in the western of Germany, between the Mosel and the Rhine rivers, known as the State of Roots and Wines, meaning Rheinland-Pfalz is a hub for agriculture and wineries. It is dotted with small hilly mountain ranges, like the Eifel, the Hunsrück, and the Pfälzer forest. The region is known, Rheinhessen is the biggest wine producer in terms of volume in all of Germany. So every year the region also produces numerous premium wines. The Ahr, Mosel and Saar valleys are also rich in vineyards. Yet wine is not all what the state has to offer. The Lorelei Cliffs in the Mittelrhein Valley are a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most visited tourist sites in the country. The city Trier, historically known as the Roman city, is Germany's oldest city. The lovely Mosel Valley and the volcanic Eifel, with its interesting geological formations, attract a lot of tourists from all around the world. And also, the state capital Mainz is where Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing process more than 500 years ago. So Johannes Gutenberg was a German blacksmith and inventor known for developing the first mechanical movable type printing press. He was born in Mainz of Rheinland-Pfalz around the 1400s. And his invention had a monumental impact on the transmission of knowledge, meaning the printing of books was very fast and did cost a little bit less than a normal person writing it. And if Rheinland-Pfalz had existed as such in the 19th century, then I think its most famous son would have been Karl Marx. So he was born in 1818 in Trier. Karl Marx began exploring socio-political theories at university among the young Hegelians. So he became a journalist, and his socialist writings would get him expelled from Germany and France. And in 1848, he published the Communist Manifesto with Friedrich Engels and was exiled to London, where he wrote the first volume of Das Kapital, so the Capital, which we know now has a very big impact on the political backgrounds of a lot of countries, including Vietnam.
Okay, that's really interesting. I see, and I can fully understand that this is a very important topic, and especially here in Vietnam. So what we learned so far, also wine from Rheinland-Pfalz helps to printing books and helped and supported Karl Marx to write the Communist Manifesto. So really interesting. But seriously, so apart from the wine, Rheinland-Pfalz is also known for chemical, pharmaceutical and automotive parts industry. What are the annual activities of the Rhineland Palatinate office here in Vietnam to help advertising those products of Rheinland-Pfalz to Vietnam and to the world? And what are the upcoming events for the later half of 2020?
So in general, the representative office of Rheinland-Pfalz here in Vietnam is established to promote and support the interests of businesses from Rheinland-Pfalz into Vietnam, and of course vice versa. Unfortunately for this year, primarily for the last half of 2020, we are supporting the promotion of Rheinland-Pfalz wines from our distributors here in Vietnam. Through to an upcoming wine promotion tour, which is gonna be called Beauty in a Glass, Wines from Rheinland-Pfalz. So the promotion tour includes 3 wine events in Ho Chi Minh City, hopefully in Da Nang, and in Hanoi in this November, by which I really hope the COVID-19 situation has improved and we all are able to safely gather and in a small amount of people to enjoy delicious food pairing with wines. Also including in this tour, we will have our participation at the Food and Hotel Hanoi 2020 exhibition from the 25th to the 27th of November. So I am really looking forward to those events.
Amy, I have a spontaneous idea. What do you think to run a marketing campaign here in Vietnam with a picture of Karl Marx and the label inspired by wine from Rheinland-Pfalz? What do you think about that?
I think it would be actually a nice idea. I mean, like for this situation, I mean, wines helps to develop the brain, right? It's a good marketing slogan.
Okay, so I of course wish you all the best. Maybe we should rethink some ideas. And at the end of this podcast, of course, we talked so much about wine. And let's have a nice glass of German Riesling right now. Cheers. So, Chang, having said that, I will hand over back the microphone to you.
Oh wow, such a happy endings and cheers. Thank you so much, Marco and Amy, for joining us today and for your interesting information on the Rheinland-Pfalz. So, I myself have learned a lot, and as one of the wine lovers in Vietnam, I'm more than happy to know that wines from Rheinland-Pfalz are now already in Vietnam. And I really look forward to the next wine promotion tours of you, Amy. Innovation could not only taste so good, but it looks so beautiful. Just so that I just love the name of the tour, like Beauty in the Glass, Wines from Rheinland-Pfalz. Dear listeners, I hope that you enjoyed our episode today. And thank you so much for being here with us. If you have any questions or feedback to Amy, just write her details in this episode note. So have a good day and see you next week. Goodbye.